long provocation.
Yeah, if I may, Chige, I think it can. I think in fact, I think it does always coexist. I think that insofar as there's no direct, there's no complete coincidence of intention, and definitely the asymmetry of power that usually communities within a nation or a state can possibly have vis-a-vis the state. I think that the intercultural sometimes becomes a kind of resistance to forced multiculturalism. I don't know if you understand what I mean. I mean, it is the response of a community or a group or an individual to refuse the overtures of an overarching power, or it could even be a family, a patriarchy, or whatever it is that is suppressing or repressing interaction from happening. I think that the intercultural is to some extent opposed. But on another level, there is inevitably they are the same kind of theme. Because I think both interculturalism and multiculturalism rest on the assumption of difference. It's just about what you're doing, how you deal with this difference that distinguishes the two. I think that the way in which, if Matilda talked about the intercultural, the act of intercultural as love, as an act of love, and I think that goes back to this notion of gifting and offering. And I think ultimately the most significant act of love happens not when there is identity between two people, but when there's difference. And therefore, I think, to some extent, interculturalism and multiculturalism share a mutual field, but they really look at the world and construct the world with quite different assumptions. That's where I think the tension arises. I don't know if I've even come close to what you said.
I kind of agree with you on the idea that multiculturalism in the Singapore context has been a top-down kind of imposition. In that sense, I see multiculturalism as a kind of ideology more than interculturalism. Because interculturalism seems to be something that is developing, evolving, and as you pointed out, possibly organic and even challenging the normative. However, I have an issue with the idea of the other. I mean, I do recognize that there are differences between cultures. And here I want to look at the idea of interculturalism as cultures writ large. Not cultures in the Singapore sense of the word, cultures in the CMIO sense of the word, but cultures in the sense that groups of community of people identifying with each other in, according to a sense of affinity in different ways. And what I mean by that is the idea of multiple identities, basically. I mean, I can have a culture of football, Manchester United fans, and then talking together with Liverpool fans. And that's interculturalism, I suppose, here. So I suppose we can reclaim interculturalism, but not in the normative sense of it. We must step away from the idea of racialization. And also, we must step away from categorizing ourselves into easy categories. Let's not do that anymore. Foreigners, nationalities, race, gender, sexual orientation, stuff like that. Singapore is a way of making things easy for itself and commodifying everyone into neat categories as if when God told Adam, name the whatever you see, and Adam said this is a tree and that's a what, and a tree can be a fish or something like that. We can do that. It's a process of naming, and we should give ourselves many names.
If I could add to that, I think interculturalism perhaps is historically related to globalization. something that we have started thinking about because of the opportunities and the kind of life we live as globalized people. Right? So I'm saying that we perceive it now, it's more visible. And like thinking about it as being linked to globalization, I'm also thinking about how people, the state categorized Singaporeans into cosmopolitans and heartlanders. And I wonder if it could be a class issue, that multiculturalism is a kind of model of culture that will be subscribed to those who are not given the opportunities to have a better, like maybe humanities education or exposure to the humanities. Whereas another group who perhaps are more elite, get into, like, have access to thinking of themselves in intercultural sort of ways. So a class issue is very much.
Yes, maybe Richard and Constance.